Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Thank you to the roughly 70 plus people who are hanging out with us cross-platform. Tonight, we are going to be breaking down a little bit. We're not necessarily going to stay the whole time, but Metokur versus Destiny. The reason why we are doing that is because Cacophonies, one of my chatters, suggested that this was a debate in which Destiny did not have the command of the debate as much as he does in his typical debates. And also, I've always heard about Jim. I've always heard about James or Jim Metokur from Chud Logic and the commentary community and Nick Diorio and all that kind of stuff. And as far as I know, he is a shit poster with a reputation that precedes him. And so I would like to check this debate out in order to catch the vibes. If it does peter out, we'll move on to other content. But let's go ahead and check it out, write down the debate points, kind of summarize each other's arguments, and pay attention to see who is actually doing what in the conversation. Let's go.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. You're okay. A couple of things. Because I'm not informed on all this shit. You're a Gamergator dude? You were the big Gamergator guy in the beginning? Somebody told me that?
Yeah, I haven't been in Gamergate since November 2014, so it's been like 2 years.
Okay, somebody in chat said that, so I wasn't sure. You're Jim, right? You're the Jim?
Yeah, I'd be the Jim.
The Jim. Okay. So to establish this at the very beginning, are you somebody that adamantly supports Trump, or are you indifferent to Trump and you hate Hillary?
Ooh.
I didn't vote this election. I've been pretty clear. I know we don't know each other. I just kind of got drawn into this, but I didn't vote for him because I disagree with certain planks in his platform, I guess, the certain policies that he has, certain outlooks on security and freedom of speech. So that's kind of why I didn't vote for him. But I do like him. He's a likable gentleman. So I would say that I like him more than the other candidates that were present during the election season, both in the Republican primaries and amongst the Democratic candidates.
Okay, so then what exactly are we arguing about?
I have no idea. Somebody messaged me on Twitter, said you wanted a debate, and then you sent and asked for my Skype address or username, so I got pulled in here. I don't know what we're debating.
Okay, why do you like the Trumpster?
Well, I hear he has a giant cock. That's one thing I've been told, and I love a man with a big dick.
All right.
And I also like the fact that he speaks his mind. That's refreshing to me, that there's not a lot of PR in between him and his thoughts.
Do you think it's admirable to speak your mind if everything on your mind is stupid? Do you think that's an admirable trait?
Is everything on his mind stupid? I'm not a telepath. I don't know.
Everything that I've heard him say is pretty dumb. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a telepath.
About everything that he said. You just said everything on his mind. So are you certain everything this man thinks is stupid?
You said that you like somebody that always speaks what's on their mind. So I'm assuming that he's speaking his mind because he doesn't have the PR shield up. So I asked, do you think that it's good if everything on his mind is stupid, implying that everything he said is stupid? I'm sorry if semantically that wasn't perfect, but my implication was that everything he has said is really dumb. So I don't know why it's admirable that he doesn't have a filter if everything that comes out of his mouth seems to be really stupid.
This has to be Destiny in like peak debate bro arc, because he's already like, I'm sorry if I didn't ground my logic chains sufficiently for you, Mr. Metokur. This is probably going to be fun. I'm not going to lie. I'm getting good vibes.
So you like lobbying in politics?
I don't like lobbying, but I don't like lobbyists either. Do you like lobbyists in politics?
No, I don't.
Then why do you like Trump when he's lobbied for politics his entire life?
That's a great question, but I'd like you to follow up with me first, because you're saying everything he said is stupid, and I asked you, do you like lobbyists? And you said no. Well, he has said this, that he wants to get rid of lobbying in politics. So you've kind of contradicted yourself. We're in like 1 minute and you've already contradicted yourself.
Well, he said like 2 or 3 kind of intelligent things, but every action that he's done to the contrary has made me question. He also said he would never take donations for his campaign and he would fund it all himself. And he walked back on that as well. He also said he would drain the swamp in Washington and nominated a bunch of lobbyists to move into some of these cabinet positions and whatnot. So I don't actually know if he actually got rid of all lobbying from Congress.
Who did he nominate?
I didn't see exactly who. And I heard people like Newt Gingrich and whatnot for like State Department positions, and people like Giuliani and shit. He was looking at Romney, I think, for Secretary of State.
Are we talking about looking at and rumored and suspected by sources listed in the media? Or are we talking about something that Trump himself said, these are the people that I'm considering, these are the people that are going to be competing for the job? Because I haven't heard any statement from him really about, I'm going to put these people in the cabinet positions. I haven't.
So I want to point out a rhetorical thing real quick that I think that anybody who is in Twitch and YouTube political debates or in debates in general should pay attention to. Something that's been frustrating for me in the debate sphere is I just go in and I debate to, debate to learn, basically. I'm not really, I might have researched a whole bunch of stuff for my topics, but I don't go in like, these are my axioms and this is my logic chain and this is where I go and I have evidence here, 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 and here and burp, burp, burp. And so something that Destiny did here, which is actually against what he normally does, is he took like a really strong and broad position, which was that everything that Trump says is stupid. Now, everything is like a huge qualifier. So if you're not autistic, you wouldn't take him literally with that statement. But Jim was already able to defeat that statement by saying like, well, here's a position that you probably agree with, that I agree with, that is not stupid. And so already it feels energetically, even if that's not that big of an own, it feels energetically like Metokur was able to find a position that Destiny was incorrect on and get him to either walk it back or acknowledge that he wasn't fully correct in what he said. And that's the kind of thing where oftentimes conversations are about, they're not about the arguments that are actually being made. They're more about perception and audience perception of what's going on in the conversation. But I want you guys as the audience and somebody who's listening to this right now to pay attention specifically to the words being uttered, what they mean, and the optics versus the actual arguments.
I haven't seen that. I've heard a lot of, I've read a lot of articles about people talking about rumors and speculation of who's being looked at, that he's meeting with so-and-so and that they're having a 1 hour lunch or they're having a 2 hour meeting. But I haven't heard Trump himself come out and say, yeah, these are the people that I want to put in positions.
Trump himself has defended it. He had a 60 Minutes interview, the first interview that he gave after becoming president-elect, where the interviewer called him out for nominating a bunch of lobbyists to fill these positions. And his defense was, well, everybody out here is lobbyists. What am I supposed to do?
Right. But again, who are these people we're talking about?
Lobbyists? The same people that he said that he didn't want in government?
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you're so convinced that they're lobbyists, give me their names. Who are we talking about?
I don't know the exact name, but he said they were lobbyists. Trump defended putting lobbyists in. Why does the exact name matter?
Maybe it's an off-the-cuff remark talking about how corrupt Washington is. Everybody out here's lobbyists. I don't know. I didn't watch the interview.
Okay.
Can you give me the whole quote?
Let's see if I can find it. Hold on.
Oh no, Jim, dude, Jim is making Destiny moves before Destiny makes Destiny moves. This is actually hilarious to see Destiny this green in the debate space. Oftentimes, one of the ways that's, again, it's a rhetorical tactic, but I'm not saying that it's not effective or it can't be done in good faith, but one of the ways that you can often get your opponent off balance is asking them to specifically back up one of their claims. So saying, like, you're saying that Trump has appointed all of these lobbyists into his cabinet, and yet you can't tell me a single name of somebody who's specifically a lobbyist. I think that anybody who's arguing in good faith could be like, yeah, probably, because the truth is that you don't fix the system overnight. Anybody who's looking for like a concession or agreement or whatever would be able to concede that instantly. But because this is combative, Jim, whatever his name is asking for specifics. And so Destiny again is on the back foot with a tactic or technique that I've seen him employ multiple times. This is actually really interesting to see a greener Destiny.
So let's go through very quick.
All right, this video is 1 minute and 10 seconds long. I'm guessing this is it because this looks like the interview.
Some of the promises you made, and tell us if you're going to do what you said or you're going to change it in any way. Are you really going to build a wall?
Yes.
They're talking about a fence in the Republican Congress. Would you accept a fence?
Is this bleeding through, or do you want me to mute my mic?
No, I can hear you. It's fine. It's not bleeding through.
Certain areas I would, but certain areas the wall is more appropriate. I'm very good at this. It's called construction. But
so part wall, part fence?
Yeah, it could be some fencing.
What about the pledge to deport millions and millions of undocumented immigrants?
What we are going to do is get the people that are criminal and have criminal records, gang members, drug dealers. We have a lot of these people, probably 2 million. It could even be 3 million. We're getting them out of our country, or we're going to incarcerate. But we're getting them out of our country. They're here illegally. After the border is secured and after everything gets normalized, we're going to make a determination on the people that you're talking about, who are terrific people. They're terrific people. But we're going to make a determination at that. But before we make that determination, Leslie, it's very...
No, hold on. This isn't the correct video. I got to try to find it now in the 60 Minutes interview. here's a Reddit post that goes through all of the people in his transition team and
Yeah, Clockwork. I'll have to work with Taze on that. So, in reference to the announcements going out for the live stream, what's interesting is hearing Trump though. But for me, sorry, those are my dogs being jumpy. For me, already I'm hearing Trump waffling a little bit, and this isn't like a huge criticism or anything. I'm just observing what's going on in the stream. Is Trump is saying like, oh, well, is it literally going to be a wall, or are you okay with fencing? And honestly, like the simple answer is any kind of physical barrier in order to deter or prevent people from coming into the country is fine by me. Boom. He kind of said that. He took a while to get to it, but he had to think about it to see whether or not it was going to be, a gotcha question, right? Then she says something along the lines of, are we really going to do the deportation? What's weird here is he's saying like, well, we're only going to go after the bad people first, and then we'll figure out who the good people are afterwards. That actually sounds a lot like Reagan. PTS Salty says that's not what he said. Go ahead and tell me what he said then, because that's what I heard. So with the good people, bad people thing, that's something that Reagan did. A lot of people really like Reagan as a conservative, but I'm pretty sure Reagan was the one who did a pathway to citizenship. Now, PTS Salty, I'm already ahead of you. No, he said that he would accept fencing in some locations. Okay, you can rewind the VOD. I'm not going to. I heard what I heard. He's not also personally building the fudging wall. What are you talking about?
the different connections and links that they have, I guess, that some people might call these people lobbyists.
Okay. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me just pull this up. I'm not a Redditor, so you're going to have to give me a minute to kind of sort this.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just a comment. I'm not used to people challenging this assertion because it seems to be generally accepted as true, but I mean, I could try to find the specific 60 Minutes quote if you...
Hello, okay. Keto Burrito. Welcome aboard. Oh, and if you do enjoy the content, be sure to follow if you're not following already. Subscribe if you feel like it. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe if you're not subscribed. Become a member if you want to. Donations are appreciated, not required.
Does anybody know the 60 Minutes thing that we listened to on stream where I don't remember which interview it was. I'm pretty sure it was a 60 Minutes interview.
Seeing Green Destiny is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm reading through it right now. Is it the top post I'm going to be looking at here, or where would I?
Yeah, it should have linked you to a post.
Yes, it's an old Destiny thing.
Direct one. I got you. Okay. Okay, it's talking a lot about Robert Mercer. Turns out Kellyanne Conway is heavily connected to the same people Steve Bannon is connected to. Robert Mercer and the Trump campaign was essentially ran by two people who worked for Mercer. I looked into this yesterday. Here's a large part of why Steve Bannon ran Trump's campaign and is now in Trump's White House. Mm-hmm. So it seems the assertion, at least from this post that I'm getting, is this is Bannon's connection to lobbyists or his interest in, I don't know, personal or furthering his own personal wealth or his own power, lobbying for his own interests. And that's what they're talking about when we're saying that there are all these lobbyists that have been named to cabinet positions. We're talking about Steve Bannon.
I mean, there's also been a lot of talk of other people. I guess Trump himself hasn't come out and exactly said that I'm putting Giuliani or Newt Gingrich or any of these people in, but there's been a lot of talk that those are people being considered. I don't know if it's normal that a presidential candidate would come out and say like, oh, well, this is absolutely going to be the guy. Hold on, give me 1 second to see if this is the correct, like 1 second.
Does anybody know what Jim's
own politicians?
Yeah.
Because
does anybody know what Jim's disease is? I heard a little bit of a wheeze, and I know that he's been fighting cancer for a while. I wonder if it's like COPD or lung related. That could just be projection because he's talking a lot. But I did hear, cancer. I was asking which kind of cancer though. Lung. Yep, figured. I heard a little bit of a wheeze. So no offense to him. He's still like a really talented talker so far. So, all right, cool. Multiple myeloma. That's my mom's disease, believe it or not. It's a super rare blood cancer, and it can take you out in like a few years, or you can live with it for decades. So that's sad. That's a weird synchronicity though, that Jim Metokur and my mother have similar diseases. That's crazy. All right.
if they give the money, you admitted you used to do it yourself. You have a
when you say
transition
lobbyists and special interests.
Okay, I think this is the clip that I was looking for before.
Okay,
all right.
1 second here.
Yeah,
Let me
sure.
pull it up.
I might fast forward a little bit just because
okay.
it seems like they're quibbling over a detail here.
own politicians because they give the money. You admitted you used to do it yourself. you have a
when you say
transition team.
lobbyists and special interests.
And you want to get rid of all of that.
I don't like it, no.
You don't like it. But your own transition team is filled with lobbyists.
It's the only people you have down there.
You have lobbyists from Verizon. You have lobbyists from the oil gas industry.
Sure.
You have food lobby.
Everybody's a lobbyist down there. That's what they are. They're lobbyists. They're special
on your own
interests.
transition
They're trying
team.
to clean up Washington. Look,
how can you clean
everything down there? There are no people. They're all people that work. That's the problem with the system. The system right now, we're going to clean it up. We're having restrictions on foreign money coming in. We're going to.
I think around 10:20, you're pretty much done with it.
Okay.
So it kind of sounds like he has like an excuse there to defend the lobbyists. But I mean, like I mean, I guess like looking at it from a neutral third party, you could see how that kind of sounds kind of bad for a guy that promised that he was removing lobbying from Washington, that now he has an excuse for why he's working with a bunch of lobbyists. Right. You see how that looks a little bad, maybe?
No, I don't disagree with you. But again, it seems like a comment more to the nature of what Washington is like now. I mean, this is his transition team we're talking about. These aren't people that are going to be sitting as Secretary of State or Defense. These are people that are basically moving him into the White House and helping him sort through the transition into it.
Sure, I understand what you're saying, but like to point, I'm sure that you didn't like Bernie Sanders, but we can agree that Bernie Sanders was also somebody who was big against lobbying. Do you think that as much as he pushed that point, do you think that if on Bernie's transition team, do you think that you would find lobbyists from all of these companies? I feel like that would be pretty hard to believe based on his voting record and everything that he said during the debates and the way that he's conducted himself.
I don't know. He's on like summer home number 4. You might have found about 20 or 30 lobbyists on his transition team, to be honest with you.
Because he has a couple summer homes?
Yeah, because he has a lot of summer homes and Audis. Yeah.
And Audis too?
Yeah, he does.
Do you have like real links to like non-Breitbart links to all of this massive amount of wealth? I'm pretty sure he released his taxes and his net worth was like a pretty modest sum. I don't think it was anything extreme.
What was the modest sum? What was the modest sum that he had as a net worth?
I don't think it was it even $1 million?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
I thought it was less than that. I know that they were released and nobody even made a big deal about it.
After a book deal.
I know that Hillary was like around 40 million. Was it $450,000? That sounds like some figure around in there is about what I heard. Also, I don't know why you would need a lobbyist to buy an Audi.
I don't know. That's just how he rolls.
Yeah, but what is that?
That's a play on words there. You get it? That's just how he rolls. We're talking about cars.
Aw, he's cute.
Okay.
Bernie Sanders was worth $712,000 in 2015.
So I guess
now
all I'm trying to say is that Trump has said a couple of things that I agree with, like fundamentally, but when you look at how he actually acts, I have a hard time believing that he's actually going to carry those things out. Again, whether you hate him or like him or not, and there are very legitimate arguments for why you would hate all of his policies, and I totally accept that. I don't think that Bernie's transition team would be filled with lobbyists because of how hard he ran on that issue. So I feel like seeing Trump walk back on a lot of these things that he said kind of hurts his credibility. He did the same thing with the ACA. He said that he likes the pre-existing conditions, and he said that he's probably not going to repeal all of it. He did the same thing with the wall. He said he's probably not going to have a wall. Maybe a fence is okay in some areas. Like it seems like he's now he's talking about repealing Dodd-Frank. I thought like I don't understand. I guess it's hard to figure out like what exactly is he going to do. And then during the debates, he did the same, where he would say an outrageous statement, and then the next day he would walk back on it. So even of like the couple of things he said that maybe are good, it's hard to tell. You have to just go by the few actions that you have to judge him on, you know?
Okay. So it seems that you dislike Trump.
A lot, yes.
Okay. And again, I don't know you, so I don't know what your political standings are or what your opinions on any of these people are. What is it exactly about Trump, aside from the thing where you said that you think a lot of what he says is stupid and he walks back on a lot of his policies?
That's my biggest point. I think he's an idiot. I really do.
Okay.
So, for instance, like the comments he's made about global warming being a hoax pushed to us by China, that vaccines cause autism, that like all the comments, the strange comments he's made about NATO. Like I think that taking oil from other countries and them being okay with it. I feel like a lot of the comments that he said, bringing back manufacturing from these third world countries, like I don't understand it. A lot of what he says just kind of reeks of stupidity to me. Like nothing sounds thought out. He doesn't sound informed or knowledgeable on any issue that he talks about. And a lot of the shit, and that's not going into more of the offensive shit that he said. That's just going by policy discussions that he's had.
Okay. So that's your main issue with him. Is there anything else, I guess, that you dislike about him as a candidate?
I think he's pretty bigoted. I think that you could make an argument for pretty racially charged things that he's said and done.
Well, hold on. No. You need to. Yeah. Listen, I appreciate you guys engaging in chat actively. However, you can't literally listen to something and then say that you didn't hear the thing that's listened, or I'm going to point it out. Okay. Keto Burrito says Destiny seemed more level-headed back then. I don't know. I don't watch him. Everybody thinks that Destiny is the funniest, smartest, most critical, best debate bro ever until he attacks your position. That's typically how it works out. Incense Firewind says just saying he is an idiot is not proving the case. Incense Firewind, he just listed 4 things that he thinks makes him an idiot. So talking about his foreign policy seeming childish, him waffling between multiple different positions, him saying one thing during a debate and then the next moment changing his mind. That's kind of, those are supporting arguments. Now, if you wanted to say that he needed to articulate those supporting arguments better or have more specific examples, that's fine. But you can't say that he doesn't have supporting arguments. He does. Cacophony says, at Counterfire, now Destiny brags about manufacturing coming back under Biden. Yeah. Roland Stat says, how educated does Kamala sound? Now, Kamala has her moments back and forth, but she does have a JD. So you might not like the wine mom aunt energy, but that doesn't mean that she's an idiot. I think she's just a politician. You are Correx as a Counterfire. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the right-wing people loved his blistering critiques of people they don't like until he came for them, especially the Trumpers. Oh, that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened.
I don't think that he represents what America is supposed to represent in terms of accepting people and being a melting pot and all that shit. I'm not a big fan of like the white nationalism, whatever shit that goes on. But I think that might be a sub point to that, but go ahead.
All right. Yeah, because I'm just trying to get an idea of where you kind of sit here and what we're going to be talking about. We'll start with the last and work our way up to the first. So when you're talking about the white nationalist shit, I haven't heard Trump come out and say that he's pro-white nationalist. In fact, if I remember right, his son that said that, one of his sons, I don't know which one it was, but said David Duke should get a bullet in his head.
Yeah, sure. I don't think he's come out and specifically said I'm a white or I don't think he's even made an implication that he's a white nationalist, but he said a lot of things that make you kind of wonder. Things like bringing back racial profiling, things like being in favor of stop and frisk, being in favor of like the Papers, Please stuff going on in Arizona.
Yeah, Keto Burrito makes an interesting point that we addressed earlier. So I've been curious why Kamala is being pretty quiet regarding the interview gauntlet. Is this a strategy to have her policies hidden so they can't be attacked? Relatively speaking, I think they're also trying to extend the honeymoon period as long as possible. That's something that Brianna pointed out earlier is probably a tactic where they're not posting her cabinet or her plans or her positions or anything like that, because they want to extend the honeymoon phase based off of vibes and aesthetics as much as possible. Old School says, come on to Counterpoints. Even Destiny has said a JD is the easiest professional degree to get. Kamala is not stupid. She's just intellectually mediocre. Okay. I don't disagree with that. Like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything that is earth-shatteringly intelligent from Kamala Harris. I'm not going to pretend I have. And also, I'm going to go ahead and back up Destiny. There are plenty of really smart people who have JDs. There's also plenty of really stupid people who have JDs. So I'm not going to fight that point either. Yes. Yeah. Clockwork says Biden won on not Trump. Kamala is making the same play. I agree.
Banning all Muslim immigrants from whatever countries, the comments that he made about Mexicans, the comments that he made about the federal judge who has parents that are Mexicans, like there are only so many of these statements that you can make before you have to wonder, like, I don't know, it seems a little bit malicious. I'm not sure.
Malicious. Okay. You don't think that he sees these issues as threats or issues that are of national importance, and that's why he's addressing them rather than some preconceived notion that whites are just superior and that other races or minorities should be suppressed?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It could go that deep or not. I'm really not concerned with that, whether or not he does have those personal opinions. I'm just going by the statements that he's made. I feel reverberate with a lot of people that would have those feelings.
Well, I mean, if they resonate, they might resonate for a different reason.
Nice. Okay. Listen, Y'all you don't have to like me simping for Jim right here. You really don't. You can be as progressive or liberal or whatever, and you'll probably agree with Brianna and I a healthy chunk of the time. But one of my frustrations with the debate space and also politics in general is, especially during this era, but still lasting up into the current day, oftentimes liberals and progressives will think that an indictment of racism is enough in order to win an argument. Like, you are racist, therefore I win the argument. And for people who are either racist or who are grappling with geopolitical issues of significant importance, being accused of racism is not an automatic win. And so, as an example, with what Jim just said, which I'm going to infer because so far he seems really intelligent, what he said is, well, you're accusing him of being a white supremacist, which that denotes a certain philosophy that you believe that white people, Northern European people, are genetically and culturally superior to the rest of the world. Therefore, you don't want to be within physical proximity to brown or black people. However, there could be real issues going on that lead you to the same positions, but don't have to deal with white supremacy. As a result, or not as a result, but as an example, you could look at the immigration crisis and say, the United States already has a language, it already has a religion, it already has an economic philosophy, it already has a liberal culture, it already has a republic. And if we accept too many people from a completely different culture too quickly, then we're not going to integrate them into our system. They are going to assimilate our system into whatever country that they came from. And that country not being of high social stability, our country will be dragged down. That is not necessarily a racist argument, and it could be used inferentially to get to the same positions as Trump. When it comes to the Muslim ban, as an example, because I was definitely sympathetic to the Muslim ban. I felt like it was extreme, but I was sympathetic to it. There was a shitload of jihadist terrorism during the 2010s. Like ISIS basically took over not the entire Middle East and North Africa, but they took over eastern Syria and western Iraq, slaughtered thousands of people, and launched terrorist attacks that killed dozens, if not hundreds of people in the Western world. And so ISIS being a real and clear and present threat, and also a lot of jihadist sympathizers being present in the Middle East and North Africa, that could be a legitimate policy prescription that has nothing to do with racism that still leads you to wanting to do a Muslim ban. So like, you can still argue that these are morally terrible positions, or you can argue that there's a racist component to them, but accusing your opponent of racism is not an automatic win, especially outside of social media, and especially outside of the liberal and progressive sphere.
If I say we need a border security wall, I might be saying it because you've got people smuggling drugs or guns. I mean, this is a hypothetical country, but because we have some need for a border wall, whereas somebody who hears that and is some massive white nationalist thinks, that's right, those goddamn spics, they need to be kept out. That doesn't mean that the reason I brought up wanting a border security wall had anything to do with the people living south of it.
And if Trump's statements were, I think we need to increase our security on the border, it's a big risk for terrorism, and we need to worry about things like drugs and crime coming, like, that would be one thing. But the way that he's made his statements have just made me so uncomfortable. Like, when Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're sending rapists and murderers, and some of them are good people, I think. Like, statements like that, I don't know, they just feel a little bit wrong, and it seems to belie why a lot of the people that do illegally immigrate do it. Like, not everybody that does it just because they want to come and be a criminal and whatnot. Not to mention the fact that like 40% of illegal immigrants in the United States overstay visas anyway, and people can get here by water. And
Brian St. Pierre says, hey, Connor, pondering politics, Josiah, Pisco, and Hutch. We're talking about you as one of the few centrists who leans right, who aren't just hidden Trump cultists like Tim Pool. I agree. One of my frustrations with Sitch and Adam, although Sitch is not a Trumpist at all, as a matter of fact, I think he's abstaining from voting, which might be where I end up, to be honest. But Sitch isn't a Trumpist. Adam, weirdly, despite previous statements, is voting for Trump. I find that odd, but I do know his audience, so we could have a debate on it, but he's a little sensitive about it, so I don't think I'm going to push that too hard. And then Tim pisses me off because Tim's like, I'm a liberal, but civil war and Trump is right about everything. I find that shit so cringe. Makes me want to do terms of service things to myself. But anyways, so the comments are appreciated. But what's interesting is, after this election cycle, I met with somebody last night, not trying to, name names or anything, but they work for a liberal political action committee that also works with a bunch of Never Trump political organizations. And they were saying that they could introduce me to some people in that sphere and see if we vibed. So if there are Never Trump political action committees that still want to push Republican values, but aren't, going to be Trump sycophants, I would be wildly interested in working with them, either on a volunteer or employed basis. Cacophony says at Counterfire, there's a reason why non-grifting right-wingers call him Dim Tool. Well, unfortunately, he's a multi-millionaire, wildly influential Dim Tool. So yeah, he's doing great.
And plane, and they travel here via vehicles as well. I don't even know if the border would do anything. But that's a separate point. I guess it's just like, I do think that there are legitimate arguments that you can.
So Kita Burrito has a question. I don't want to derail the topic, but I got lots of questions in regards to politics. Do you think it's a good idea to let Waltz take most of the criticism in place of Kamala? A good idea by taking him out front? No, I think that Waltz and Kamala need to enjoy the honeymoon phase for another week or two, and then they need to come out the gate storming. They need to be hitting press. They need to be talking to people. They need to be doing debates. They need to be getting interviewed. They need to have advertisements. They need to do this. They need to do that. I don't think that the castle, the fortress arc, I don't think the fortress arc is going to win. Enjoy your points, but if you stay in the fortress arc for too long, people are noticing already, and they will notice more the longer you stay inside it. In Wayne's World voice, in with the Lincoln Project. Yeah, probably. I don't know if it'll specifically be the Lincoln Project, but yeah, if I meet some of those guys and they say cool things and I say cool things to them and we like each other's vibe, then maybe we'd work together. Chuck E. Cheese says, unfortunately, at this point, Dim Tool is less partisan than, say, Adam and Sitch, which is sad. That's crazy. That's a crazy sentence to say out loud. Again, last time I checked, I think Sitch was saying that he can't bring himself to vote for Trump because of what Trump did, but he also can't bring himself to vote for Kamala because of XYZ ABC factor. I was going to make fun of him up until the assault weapons ban comments. Now I kind of agree with him. And then what was the other thing? And then Tim Pool seems like a MAGA sycophant. So that's surprising to me that you would say that. K Soko says they should just focus on policy and not engage with Trump. Just ignore him, lol. I mean, yeah. I think that's what Adam Friended is doing. He's focusing more on the policies that Trump says he's going to accomplish and what he thinks is possible, more than cults of personality. Aircraft Sparky says, Counterfire, the Lincoln Project is a bit cringe. Only 25 of the founders are... Only 25 of the founders are on charge for kitty stuff. I thought it was one guy. I thought they had one diddler. Do they have multiple diddlers? That's so rude. Hold on. Let me Google. Twitch and YouTube chats are not known for their reliability. Lincoln Project. Okay. Republican strategist and co-founder of anti-Trump group is one of many accused of sexual misconduct. So maybe I should Google sexual misconduct. Sex misconduct. This is why you get married and keep your dick in your pants. 21 men accused of Lincoln Project, co-founder of online harassment. John Weaver, a longtime GOP operative who advised John McCain and John Kasich, made sexual overtures to young men, sometimes offering to help them get work in politics. Well, damn it, I missed my shot. Oh, that's funny. John Weaver, a longtime Republican strategist and co-founder of the prominent anti-Trump group, the Lincoln Project, has for years sent unsolicited and sexually provocative messages to young men, often while suggesting he could get them work in politics, according to interviews with 21 men who received them. His solicitations included sending messages to a 14-year-old, asking questions about his body while he was still in high school, and then the more pointed ones after he turned 18. Ooh, so he was a groomer too. Yikes, 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 yikes. All right, well, is it one of them or is it multiple of them? I'm only seeing the one. So y'all can send me more links. Y'all are saying multiple, but you didn't link anything. Hey, we had an AR ban for a decade. It wasn't that bad. Horribly ineffective, but not that bad. Yeah, Gay Mudgeon, pass. Pass on that. UR Rex says, at Counterfire, I think Republican voters against Trump founder is Sarah Longwell, and maybe you two could strike up a convo somehow. We'll see. We'll see. There was somebody who was interested in back channeling me to that world, so we'll see. What's hilarious is when this happened a few years ago, tons of the media had these guys on the launder the image of this guy, though it was known for years before it was covered up. Got it. Yeah. PTS Salty says I'm married too young. True. In my mid-30s, almost my 40s. I'm joking. I am very happy, and I would not send pictures of my dingle dangle to a 60-year-old man in order to secure a job. I am joking. Bud123, the idiots that write the gun control know nothing about guns, ban guns, that look scary. True. All right, let's go.
Could make for border security, but the way that he's done it, I guess, is it can.
Well, when we're talking about like Trump saying something like they're not sending their best, well, their best would be people who legally immigrate here, wouldn't they? I mean, we're talking about a criminal element. They are illegally here.
Yeah, but when Trump is saying they're not sending their best, I think you can agree the implication there is that a lot of them are criminals, right? I think that's the implication.
But my point is they are criminals. There are some. We're talking about illegal immigrants. He didn't say I want to get rid of legal immigrants, did he? He didn't say I'm going to flush the country of every Mexican that's
okay, but that's not. But the implication wasn't that they're criminals because they're illegally immigrating. The implication is that they are rapists, murderers, and thieves, because those are the exact words that he said. Not that these are criminals just because they've crossed the border and they're criminals, but they're criminals because they're coming here to perpetrate violent actions.
Well, who knows why they're here? They came here illegally. I mean, his point is, if they're not the best you're going to send me are going to come here through the legal channels. The people that aren't coming here through the legal channels probably have a criminal element. They probably are criminally motivated.
Do you think that's true? Channels. Do you think that it's easy to immigrate easily to the United States through those waiting lists? Some of those are up to 10 years long. Who
said life was easy? Wait, no, we're having a discussion. I mean, your counterpoint to that is, well, geez, if it was just easier, they'd be legal. Well, yeah, if it was one day long, all of them would be legal, wouldn't it? You know, we're talking about people who didn't want to go through the process that other people who legally immigrated here have gone through. They decided, they took it upon themselves to say, I'm going to come to this nation and I'm going to say, I'm not going to obey the laws that the other people who want to come here have done.
Okay.
And I'm just going to do it my own way because I don't believe in your authority. I don't think you're doing it right. That's not the best way to start off your new nationality, is it?
So then can I go up to the Rust Belt and all of those people that cried and bitched and voted for Trump because they wanted to bring back manufacturing jobs? Can I go and say to all of those guys, you lost your job? Why didn't you get another job? Why didn't you go and train for a different, career? And they go, dude, that's how retraining for a whole different job when I've done this for 30, 40 years. That's really difficult. And then I could go, who's supposed to say life is easy? I don't think that's a legitimate argument. I think that shows like a severe.
I have no problem with you saying that to them.
Okay. I guess for me personally, I consider myself to be relatively compassionate, even if I, go full savage.
But I'm also realistic. Life is not fair. It is a difficult thing. If you want to get by in life, you should at least adhere to the rules of the place that you're going to be going into.
Okay, sure.
I'm wildly so I get it's simple, it's old, whatever. I totally get that. But Jim is a weirdly competent libertarian debater. I haven't really engaged with his content, but I can understand why it's successful. It seems like he's paying attention. He's quick on his feet. He's intelligent. He's able to jump from multiple perspectives while fighting on all of them. So far, I'm not saying this is groundbreaking content or anything like that, but he does seem like a talented fella.
Sure, but when you talk about families that are coming across the border because the living situation in Mexico is people that are risking rape or murder or thievery coming over, right? Because they're a very real risk to illegally immigrating. It's not necessarily that easy, especially depending on where you come out of. People that just want a better life for their families or a better life for their children, calling these people criminals, I feel like is a little bit cruel. Obviously, it sucks and obviously it's bad and we need to do something about it. But labeling all of these people as rapists and murderers and criminals, it seems to betray like any amount of empathy you might have. Like, I don't know, that I would have a very difficult time making that statement.
I have no idea what the statistics are for the people coming across, whether they're 10 years old, whether the majority of people we're talking about are all 10-year-olds, whether they're 50-year-olds. What kind of immigration are we talking? You're painting this picture of these beautiful families, of all these little children that are being led by their mothers across deserts. I have no idea what they look like. I have no idea what age group specifically they are.
Okay, but you're really quick to label all of them as thieves and rapists. So why?
No, I was quick to label them as criminals. You can back it up and listen to it, which is exactly what I said. They came here illegally. They are criminals. They are not obeying the law.
Yeah, but then when I said that not everybody coming over here is coming over here to rape and murder people, you said, well, I don't know, maybe they are. They didn't come here legally. I'm pretty sure those were your exact words. You said that was a possibility. But now when I say they're not all...
No, yeah, it absolutely is a possibility. If you're going to break the law once, what's going to prohibit you from doing it again? You're already not beholden to the law of the land.
So if you're walking out of a store because you shoplifted a candy bar, somebody should just dome you coming out the store because you shoplifted once, maybe you'll go and rape somebody again? That's an absurd statement.
Are they a legal citizen here with rights and protections? Because the illegal people coming here don't have those, do they?
Okay, yeah, but your argument is just because somebody is...
No. We're having a conversation about law applied to citizens of the United States and law applied to foreigners, illegal immigrants. So keep it in that context. We're talking about illegal immigrants. Can I go to whatever fucking country I want and behave in any manner I want and then expect them to respect me because, oh, it's too tough?
It's not about expecting somebody to respect.
So hold on. This is another thing that I'm noticing that I hope you're noticing as well. So Destiny, from I think probably just from being a seasoned debater, he oftentimes will research a topic, he will build up his perspective, he will fight from that perspective, and he won't extend particularly far outside of that. Now, that can be frustrating from like a rhetorical perspective as a rhetorical opponent, because you want your enemy to leave their area of like logic and research enough in order to have a contentious conversation where there's a little bit of give and take. But what's interesting here is Destiny has left his rhetorical fortress of solitude a few times. And I think that he has gotten caught, not necessarily flat-footed, but caught rhetorically. So for instance, he says that, well, Jim, they're not all rapists and murderers or whatever. And Jim, because he's paying attention to the conversation, says, I called them criminals, which by definition they are. So, right there, Destiny's going potentially for a point that could have like more salience to the argument, but Jim's able to just give him a little flourish, a little love tap on the side of the ear, letting him know that he's not going to get an own on that one. So again, it's not, this is not groundbreaking content. I am enjoying Jim being a talented debater who I've only seen in the space third hand. This is the first time that I've engaged with him directly through content. But I think that old school fans of Destiny and new school fans of Destiny should pay attention to the way that he's rhetorically evolved over time. And then somebody asked an interesting question. Keto Burrito says, in your opinion, why is there animosity towards centrists and those who are apolitical? The reason why is multifaceted, but the people who are apolitical, it's because there are things that are at stake every single election. Abortion rights were at stake with Trump, and as a result, abortion is changed throughout the country. Guns and immigration are at stake in almost every election, and if there's an assault weapons ban or major gun control legislation through the Democrats, then people are going to be pissed if you're a libertarian who likes guns, but then you didn't vote, because by not voting, you technically caused the incident to happen. Now, for principled people, such as myself, but people who hold principles that are outside of our binary lesser evil political system, then there can be frustration with centrists because we're considering everybody's perspective at the same time. And then we're jumping onto one side for one issue and then jumping onto the other side for the other issue. Whereas people like clear-cut political tribes. So it's a lot easier to be on one side of the spectrum and just stay there and then just agree with everybody who's over there and vice versa. Whereas if you're on one side a majority of the time and then you jump over temporarily, you're pissing off this entire tribe. And then if you go do the vice versa, it's the same thing. So that's why people hate apolitical people and centrists. Oh, Chuck E. Cheese says, this is why I like Chris Cantwell and Nick Fuentes. We're not censored, so you can actually go back and look at Chris Cantwell discussion where Jim's like, I want somebody who will fight for the white race. Interesting. So hold on. So I know that Chris Cantwell, I think people labeled him, not trying to be too rude to Chris Cantwell, the crying Nazi, because he was talking a lot of shit about how hardcore he was, and then he went to a rally and he got pepper sprayed and he cried. So I think that's who I remember Chris Cantwell is. But you're saying Jim said he wanted somebody who would fight for the white race? Because that's interesting. That would make him more white nationally. Toby1 Kenobi says people don't like centrists for two reasons. They don't take a side, and if they don't go for a win-win, we end up with a half-ass implementation of ideas. Yeah, you could have just stolen it from my brain. Yeah, filthy neutrals are the worst. True. Jim's wife is Asian. Well, Asians are honorary whites, so. Please tell me Jim is not no bullshit. He's not. That's a different creator. Okay. All right, let's continue. I'm actually going to hit the head again. I've been chugging water. We're probably going to run for another 30 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up. But let's just see. Oh, Night of Day says Jim was fucking with people. Oh, okay. So he was doing white nationalist memes, but he wasn't serious. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. I'm gonna let the content run though. I'll be back ASAP. I'm gonna pull this on. Enjoy the chair.
It's about you saying that because they came over here illegally and broke one law, maybe they'll just go and murder a bunch of people. That's not how a lot of these people work. A lot of them come over here just to work jobs, not to come over here and murder and shoot people just because they broke one law. They figure nothing else matters.
What I'm saying, okay. They have already demonstrated by coming here illegally that they have no problem with criminality because they broke the law the second they came here without going through the proper channels. It is not unfair to assume then that, well, if they're not going to respect the basic process of even getting in here in the first place, why would they respect anything else? If they're not going to respect coming through the border, if they're not going to respect going through the entire process that people who come here legally do, why would they, not rob? Why would they not murder? Why would they not rape? That's a fair argument to bring up.
That's an absurd argument because you make
it's not an absurd argument.
It is because you're making it sound like there's some arbitrary, or not arbitrary, there's some definitive line that you cross. Like some guy is coming across the border, I'm going to go get a job and work and ship money back to my family because my kids live in some fucked up area. And now that I come here and got a job, well, fuck, I just broke the law crossing the border. Dude, I should just fucking kill someone. That's an absolutely insane argument to make, that just because they've broken the law of coming into the state, like, that's so stupid. Like, I speed sometimes. Does that mean that I'm about to throw my car off the side of the road drunk driving because I'm willing to break some traffic laws? I'll break all of them? You're acting like there's no degree of difference between committing a crime. Like one crime is equal to all crimes and that every person sees it that way. That's insane.
I'm sure I'm saying that they already have a disposition to breaking the law, which they do because they broke it coming here.
Sure. Okay, and somebody driving their pregnant wife to the hospital when she's delivering has a disposition to breaking laws about speed limits. But that doesn't mean that they're going to break every single law along the way. I feel like you don't understand the motivations of why they would come over or why they would act the way that they do by saying that.
What's their motivation? Then let's talk.
A lot of people come over just to work. A lot of people come over to work.
Okay, so a lot of people just come here to work. Where are you getting that from?
How about the fact that all the Trump supporters say they're tired of illegal immigrants coming over and stealing our jobs?
I don't give a shit about what Trump supporters say. I'm asking you, where are you getting the notion that the people that illegally immigrate here come here just to work because they have families they need to support desperately in their host country?
I can't source every single super well accepted common source claim. Like, dude, there are 13 million illegal immigrants in the United States. There are plenty of people that complain.
Accepted common source, you should have no problem.
Okay, how many jobs held by illegal immigrants, United States? Dude, people on the right complain all the time that Americans are losing jobs to illegal immigrants.
Said I'm in the right.
I don't know, but people that generally supported Trump.
Oh no! So listen, Jim. All right, so hold on. This is getting less effective as it's going on, and the reason why it's getting less effective, although I'm sure that Destiny, I don't want to say took this as a tactic, but it's obviously like a decent tactic. So somebody makes a claim about reality, and in order to show them or show people that they might be on the back foot and just talking shit, you ask them to specifically back up that claim. That's a rhetorical tactic that has been used widely and effectively in Twitch and YouTube politics. However, a cursory search, and I'm not saying this was available back at the time of the debate, but a cursory search of labor force participation rates, which I understand with illegal immigrants is going to be hard to track. But it says, as of June 2024, immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, make up over 19% of the U.S. workforce population and have a higher labor force participation rate than native-born workers. In 2023, 68% of the foreign-born population aged 25 and older participated in the labor force, compared to 63% of native-born population. Now, you need to average these things out. And you also need to understand that foreign-born people aren't necessarily going to be reporting all of their statistics. But at the same time, if they're not able to get onto social benefits, then they have to work in order to survive. So that's kind of the thing is like, it follows logically and inferentially. And lucky for me, I can just Google it and there's some stats that back it up. But I think you can, the one thing that I want you to take away from that is Jim is using a tactic that Destiny normally uses on other people, and it is effective, but it can't be your only tactic. Yeah, and BizD is pointing this out. Jim is seems like a pedantic cunt, and that's, excuse the C word, but that is where if you use the same tactic over and over again, but you never forward a positive position, then people will get tired of you. Chuck E. Cheese says, so Jim disappeared for like 3 years after Gamergate stuff. He had his quote from Hitler. You can watch his last message from Gamergate. It's like 4 minutes. When he came back, he appeared on Chris Cantwell's stream. That was his return to the internet. Like Nick Fuentes for years called himself a national socialist, but because all his stuff was banned, it's basically impossible to find now. Interesting. All right, let's continue.
Generally make this assertion that illegal, and I'm pretty sure that Trump has made this assertion, that illegal immigrants come over here and steal jobs. Here's one link. I don't know if this is credible or not. I don't know. This is from fairus.org for immigration reform. Oh, so these people sound like they would be. So these are jobs lost in California, 2 million jobs taken by illegal immigrants. I mean, I don't know. We can go through, like, I know this is true because I hear this asserted all the time.
That's an appeal to consensus. That doesn't mean it's
here's
necessarily
a Washington
true.
Post article, like.
Yeah, it says the majority that come here work in low-skilled jobs, but that doesn't speak to their motivation to purely coming here, does it?
Do you think a rapist or a murderer is coming to the United States with the aspiration of being a low-skilled worker? Or does he just have to make enough money to buy a gun? Like, what do you mean, dude?
I have no idea. Maybe there are millions of Americans like you, Destiny, who think, well, shit, they obviously wouldn't come here to rape. So, I mean,
I'm sure there are some that do.
If I was a rapist and I'm looking for a country to go to, and there were people like you there that thought the only reason I'm crossing the border is to get a good job to support my wife and kid, you're fucking right. I'd go to your country.
I'm sure that there are people that come across and commit crimes, but I'm challenging your initial assertion that because somebody is willing to break one crime, they're willing to break one law. They're going to break all laws. That's an insanely ridiculous assertion.
But they're not American citizens.
Who cares? That doesn't make you a murderer or a rapist.
This is about basic fucking security. You have people coming in, using a system, or not using a system, excuse me. They're not even coming through the legal means. They're coming illegally into here. And then to say that Trump is so off base by saying it's criminality. It is.
He's not saying, you're changing it up so hard. Trump is not saying it's criminal to illegally immigrate. Nobody would disagree with that statement, or maybe some extreme lefties would disagree with that statement. Nobody disagrees with that statement. The statement that he made was implying that the vast majority of Mexicans that come over here are coming here to rape and murder and steal. Not that they're coming over here.
All right, yeah, this is not a total loss on Destiny's end, by the way. So I understand like the instinct is to be contrarian against Destiny or whatever, but he was able to basically flip that, relatively speaking, because Jim did change the original argument to, well, Trump is just asserting that by them coming here illegally, they're criminals, and it's like that's not really the statement. And this is part of the problem with like inferential statements. So he said, there's rapists, there's murderers, and some of them, I assume, are good people. And the reason why that quote is infamous is because it's fucking crazy, right? Like most Hispanic immigrants are not running around murdering and raping people. There's plenty of problems. There's cultural issues. There's cultural clashes. There's financial problems. There's there's employment issues. However, a majority of the issues are not murder and rape. A majority of the issues are economic. That is not what Trump ever implied. Clearly crystal clear. That's the reading of it from a healthy chunk of folks, is that they're coming here to do criminal shit. I think that's like a safe bet. And also Trump loves implication. So I don't know how you're so confidently saying that was never implied. Anyways, Clockwork says, I think it's almost self-evident that being willing to break a law to enter a country makes one more willing to break other laws within it. I agree there. It's just human nature. You've already crossed the line. Yeah, so why not keep going? So if you have an immigration status that's not legal, and then you illegally cross the border, and are you going to go get a driver's license? Obviously not. If somebody tries to pull you over, are you going to pull over? Maybe, maybe not. Are you going to smoke weed or do cocaine because, frankly, your life sucks and you're living in another country and you have to work your dick off in order to make ends meet? Yeah, you might be smoking pot. You might be doing a little bit of coke every now and then. Are you going to do a cocaine on the construction site? Listen, I'm not a construction guy. I do construction administration, but plenty of contractors have told me that part of Hispanic industriousness is fueled by la cocaine. So, there's a little bit of cocaine mixed in with the caffeine. So anyways, that's, so yeah, they're going to break some other laws. The question is whether or not like there's a cost benefit analysis of whether or not they contribute more to the culture than they take away from it. And that's something that everybody is going to have a different answer for about their lines of how many people we can take per year and integrate in a positive way. Clearly, crystal clear says Trump haters, sure. Regular people, not so much. Oh my fucking God. I want to slam my head into the fucking desk. So I said, how would you interpret that sentence? A shitload of people will infer that. And then you said that not regular people. Are you regular people? Are Trump people regular people? Because last I checked, people who support Trump are 55% of the Republican Party. Let me go ahead and do this. A third of the country doesn't vote. So 300 million. A third are Democrats. So that's 100 million. A third don't vote. That's another 100 million. And then 55% of the Republican Party are voting for Trump. So that's 55 million out of 300 million. Just to keep the numbers, even. Divided by 300 million is 18%. So 18% of the country is insane. 18% of the population is sane, and the remaining population is not. So 82% of the country are crazy people. Got it.
Here to commit crimes, the crime of illegal immigration. It's tautology. Like, what? No one, obviously, that's. You're a criminal if you break the law by coming into a country illegally, but just because you come into a country illegally doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden about to go on a fucking rape spree, because now that you broke one law, you can break all of them. That's the only assertion I'm challenging. I feel like we can agree that that's a little bit of a ridiculous assertion. I won't hold it against you if you back off that assertion. Like,
I'm not going to back off any assertion. I'm saying you've got two groups of people. One coming here legally, I would say, isn't predisposed to criminality because they came here legally. The other that came illegally obviously doesn't respect the law of the land. What guarantee do I have that they're going to respect any other laws? I don't know them. I'm not a fucking telepath. I can't read their minds and know their souls, but I can be a little bit fucking skeptical. And I can say we need to deal with the illegal immigration problem because we have a shitload of criminals, illegal immigrants in this country, and this needs to be dealt with. We need to build.
Okay. Cacophony says ignore dumb people, hit play. But here's the thing, Cacophonies. I'm not, I appreciate you showing me Metokur because now I have a deeper appreciation for Metokur. However, not going to lie, these are kind of like older talking points, and I do appreciate seeing a greener Destiny going up against James or Jim or whatever, because Jim seems like a smart fella. But at the same time, like, I want to put my spin on the content. I don't just want to watch old content, right? And it's kind of a little bit hard to do when we're having like 10-year-old arguments about whether or not Mexicans are rapists, right? But so I want to show you guys something about the world and geography. Okay. So, who is it? Crystal clear. And the murder. Okay. Clearly crystal clear says if security worked, they wouldn't be here and the murders and rapes would not occur. James, fair point, James. All right, cool. So I think the assertion is this: they should not be here. So I want to point something out to people because I've been thinking about this for a really long time, and it's a little frustrating. Okay. This is Eurasia. All right, I'm trying to focus on Eurasia. Eurasia and Africa. This is where most of known civilization has been for a really long time, like 3,000 years. Like history is technically probably a written history or history that we know of is around 10,000 years old. The human species is a few 100,000 years. And known history, like written history, is 2,500 to 3,000 years, depending on where you want to do it, okay? Culture emanated largely in the Mediterranean because it's at the crossroads of humanity. Okay, look at this shit. I'm gonna red pill you guys on geographic determinism. So when Chinese people or Asians wanted to sell their spices, they sold it to these people in the Middle East and North Africa because they're neighbors, and then these people sold it to Europeans, right? And then Europeans wanted that shit, so they had to do one of two things. They either had to come into this or they had to sail across the sea, right? And what they realized is sailing under Africa is a huge pain in the ass. So we heard of a lost continent. Let's go find a lost continent. And then when they came to the lost continent, there's arguments that we first made landfall at like Labrador Island, which is somewhere around here. And we gave the natives diseases. And we wiped out 90% of the population through disease. But also what happened is people from this place were like, oh shit, I can come down here, and they're just through like weather patterns, they ended up here, and there was like a shitload of gold and silver and shit. So they became temporarily the richest colonial power. Now nobody gives a flying fuck about them, right? And so everybody kind of realizes like, oh shit, there's an entire continent depopulated of most people. 90% of the indigenous population is wiped out, and it's super rich in resources, right? So there's a scramble of people who say, fuck all this European nationalist war, starvation, king bullshit. Let's go to this depopulated continent. And Hispanic, Latin American, and Portuguese, I know Portuguese aren't Hispanic, but just go with me, okay? Portuguese and Latin American people, they land down here. And this is a beautiful continent, shitloads of trees, lots of natural resources, et cetera, et cetera. And they also land here in the Caribbean where there's sugarcane and all that kind of bullshit. Well, Northern Europeans land here. French and English people land here. And bear in mind the difference in colonists. I want to point this out to you. This is the difference in the countries of origin. It's right here. 90% of the Europeans who have come to the Americas are from these countries: Portugal, Spain, France, and England. 90% come from these 4 fudging countries, okay? And so what you're saying when you say Hispanics should not be able to come into the United States of America, one, there's not a particularly defensible border here. This is wide open territory. And not only that, you are saying you cannot be physically close to me because my ancestors came from this patch of land and this patch of land, and your ancestors came from this patch of land and this patch of land. It doesn't make, you know what? I've been trying to not swear, okay? I've been trying to not swear, but I'm going to swear right now. It doesn't make any goddamn sense, okay? It doesn't make a single lick of fucking sense that we're going to draw an arbitrary border here, in which, by the way, I love the United States of America, want it to be America forever, want to speak English forever. I love baseball. I love cherry pie. I love video games and all that kind of bullshit. But just saying, no, you can't come because of this line, you're fucking crazy, right? You're fucking crazy. Okay? I'll tell you what's going to happen is we rely on these people for agriculture. They're going to come here. They're going to be second-class citizens. They're going to make our fucking food. And then the second and third generation is going to acclimate to American culture, and they're going to become Americans, and they're going to be very boring and normal and play video games and go to Starbucks and all that kind of shit. And then the next wave of immigrants is going to come, and they're going to do the same shit. They'll be second-class citizens. They'll work in all the jobs that most middle-class people don't want. And then their second and third generations will rise up into the middle class. That's what's going to happen in perpetuity. Just to share what, you can argue that we should lock down the border based off of nationalist principle. And to a certain level, I agree with you for security concerns. However, I'm just telling you what's going to happen. It's just going to happen. All right. European colonies back when they were something else. Sure. Clockwork says, all right, early 07, I'm out. Take it easy, folks. Appreciate you, King. Thank you for the dono earlier. Keiseko said, you really should include the Germans in that 90%. Sure, but, Germans. Bum number 1 says, maybe they commit more crime because they choose to illegally cross. I mean, yeah, if you define crime as illegally crossing and also driving without a driver's license and speeding and drinking alcohol and smoking weed and doing cocaine in order to subsidize your shitty life, yeah, sure. They commit a shitload of crime. Clearly crystal clear. Yes, it does make sense. Winners and losers. This is 24. No, not at all. In fact, it used to be that way and work that way, actually. I don't think it ever did. And guess what? For agriculture, the use of illegal aliens has postponed the automation. So you, sir, in fact, I love exploiting people. Clearly crystal clear. I love it. It's my fucking favorite. Capitalism, exploitation of a labor class in order to get profits that you can then use to turn into other businesses. It's my favorite thing. My favorite thing is profit. I love profit. It's great. At a certain point, you can say, no, you can't come. All right, I'm fighting him because his position is so far away from mine. But of course, you can say, no, you can't come here after a certain point, right? We want to integrate people into society, not be swamped in a wave of a different culture that then totally changes the fabric of the country, right? Like, of course, there's a limit to how many people you can integrate in a year. I agree with that. I'm just fighting the straw man of you think you're going to be able to control that. And by the way, you're saying there's winners and losers right now. Like the anti-immigration people are on the losing side. So we're getting to centrism in your next comment. So I'm happy to address these. Clearly Crystal Clear says, and guess what? For agriculture, the use of illegal aliens. Hold on, I already told you that I love exploiting people. Aircraft Sparky says, that is why I say make North America America for once. Yeah. So my plan, I think my plan is more reasonable, by the way. I say there's a tiny land bridge here, right? Tiny. Right here. Panama City. There's something called the Darien Gap somewhere down here. We might be able to find it. So I would say this should be the new border. And Simón Bolívar, the founder of Colombia, he had a dream of a united South America, and he wanted to call it Gran Colombia. So I want to revive Simón Bolívar's dream and have the United States of South America, where Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru, Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana, I want them to become their own United States and to deal with their own bullshit. And then I want to take everything north of Panama, and I want it to become the United States, and I want the United States to kill all the cartels, and I want Mexicans to be able to travel to the United States, and I want Americans to be able to travel to Mexico. That's my plan. So you tell me how you like that plan. Naive Day say, wow, this is a complete misreading of the situation historically and presently. How? Please, literally. I have 20 credits of history, which I know is not a lot, but then I have another 20 credits or 30 credits of random college classes from the Great Courses series that I have taken studying history. And not only that, I've also read like 8 books from Robert Kaplan, who is a partial geographical determinist, who talks about the histories and cultures and flow of peoples aligned with geography. So between let's say that each semester hour, 18 divided by 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably another 30, so another 10, so 16, plus another 8 books. I have like 30 books that I could name almost, or look up and name on history, geography, and the passage of peoples over time. So I would, Night of Day, I would be happy for you to type out a paragraph summary on your reading of history and the present problem. Clearly Crystal Clear says worker visa programs, no problem. You and I have reached centrist alignment. Mexicans and Central Americans do not need to become citizens. They could literally have temporary visa programs where they come in and work to the benefit of the United States, and then they could leave afterwards. Don't give a fudge about that. That's fine. Video games recommendation, Space Marine 2 comes out on September 9th. Chuck E. Cheese says, at least for now, it's a permanent cyclical reality. I agree. Christian Blair says, once globalism breaks down, we're going to need a lot more Central and South Americans. Agreed. A wall won't stop illegal immigrants? No, I mean, I love walls. Build a sweet wall. I would build my wall down here. I would build my wall here, and then I would have a sick-ass Coast Guard and Navy patrolling the fudge out of all of this. That's what I would do. But if you wanted to build your wall here, I think it's going to be expensive, but I don't care. Sure. Build the entire wall. I don't give two shits. I love national security. It's fantastic. I love walls. Night of Day says we hit that limit in the 2010s. What limit? Please tell me. I am happy to learn. I love learning from chat. It's my favorite thing. At Cacophony says, at Counterfire, the border should be the Panama Canal, obviously. I agree. Although we want the canal to be traversable. Like we want to own the canal. That way we can cross it, right? So I think somebody was arguing the Darien Gap because down here, Darien National Park. So apparently here is like desert and mountains and jungles, and it actually kills the shit out of a lot of people all the time. So they were arguing that this should be the natural border instead of this, but I don't care. Whatever works. You just do it at the Panama Canal. Okay, we're agreeing. Yes. Bud 123. We are annexing Mexico to build a border wall. Yes. Super America based. Yes. And we annex Canada. Why not? Can I call in? Yeah. Can you DM me? I could BS for like 20 minutes or whatever and get out of here. I think that'd be fine. Night of day. Invite people. But we're going to use the map. That is my one condition. We're going to use the map. So here's the Discord. I'm posting the Discord. Night of day. If you want to DM me on Discord the next 5 minutes, I'll call you and we can talk for 5 or 10. Manifest Destiny is not over. It's time to liberate Canada. True. Moeed says, hey, are you gay? No. Are you interested? Because I'm not into dudes. Not a huge fan of penises. More of a vagina man myself. I'm getting a little crazy now that it's getting later. Cacophony says at Counterfire, if you keep going, this is the debate where Metokur gets Destiny into talking himself into a corner of carpet bombing Mexico and annihilating the cartels. I agree. Based classic Destiny. And honestly, I can't promise that we're going to get through much more of this just because I went on a rant. President McKinley says huge walls have been a bust historically. Hey, listen, Great Wall of China looks great. Kept out the Mongolians for a healthy chunk of time. At Counterfire, why build a wall when armor-piercing mines are fucking cheap? Because we don't want to murder 8-year-old children with anti-tank mines. That seems fucked up. Personal opinion. Yeah. Keto Burrito says annex Mexico and kill the cartels. That's a follow. Hey. True. Old school Destiny was based. Clearly Crystal Clear says, I'd say we blew it with Reagan and the exploiting employers should have been prosecuted as promised. Yeah, of course. But guess what? Even if Reagan hadn't granted citizenship, we'd probably still be facing the same problem, which is that we have 4 European nations, like four or 5 European nations who share a majority of immigration to the Americas. And then we share this continent with them with geographically tough to defend territory. So that's the problem if you wanted to call it a problem. I view it as a stepping stone to get the greater United States of America, the United States of the Americas, the southern United States of Americas, and then have that be a dominant world power that works with other Eurasian powers in order to conquer the fucking galaxy. Excuse my French. Chuck E. Cheese says, I would totally be down to annex Mexico. The cartels would be an issue, but I'm guessing the feds would break them up pretty quickly once they were in state. Yeah, I agree. All right, let me check and see if Night of Day is available. Connor, sir, we're still down to guess. Castley had to cancel. I have an invite to Drone Tech with Castley Energy. Does anybody know any neoliberal warhawks? I don't know any neoliberal warhawks. Neolib warhawks? Sorry. Trying to help out the hippy dippy. You can play one. Night of Days, I'm trying to figure out Discord. Okay, anyways, sorry. Let's engage a little bit more with the content before we do it.
Build some.
Hold on. So Keto Burrito says, is there a backlog I can go watch? I am not interested in your content. That is funny. I think you meant to write now interested in your content. I'll go pull it up real quick. If you go to YouTube and you go to Counterpoints Coliseum, it's now renamed Counterfire. I'll share it. Give me a second. Trying to figure out how to share. Share, copy, StreamYard, link. There you go. All right, cool. Let's watch this while our friend looks for it.
Kind of a barrier or create a better system or have a better or tweak a system already existing to work better to deal with this, because we don't have a handle on who the hell is coming in here.
Okay, I don't disagree with anything you've said. Border security is a real issue. What we're talking about is the way that you address the border security can make it be, it's a little bit uncomfortable depending on who you're talking to. Again, there is nothing wrong with the statement, our border is very porous to the south. A lot of people are coming in. They could be bad people. We need to deal with it. There's nothing wrong with that statement. But when you make the statement, when Mexico sends its citizens, they're not sending their best. They're sending rapists, murderers, thieves, and some of them are good people, I imagine, that kind of a statement might rub some people a little bit wrong. You don't see how that kind of a statement could maybe look a little bit kind of bad?
Yeah, clearly crystal clear. That's almost a verbatim quote. So for me, you can say that Trump was speaking extemporaneously and wasn't being precise with his words, but I think you could vibe off of that he doesn't like Mexicans.
Well, anything can look bad from a subjective viewpoint, yeah. It's good. Anything can rub somebody wrong. Yeah, sure. If he'd said it the reverse, would you have liked it better? If he had said, we need better border security, we need more resources, we need to allocate, we need to get a handle on this illegal immigration problem, because they're sending us good people, but there's some bad eggs in there. Would you have liked the reverse better? I mean, he's still talking about doing the same thing, isn't he?
No, not at all. I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not like a big fan of like the English language. I don't understand. Like there are massive differences in the way that you address these things. Like the way that you phrase things to people can show like what your inner intentions are. Like,
you're reading in, you're interpreting his
I'm not interpreting anything. I don't have to interpret anything he says.
You just said earlier when we started this conversation that, you talked about Trump and white nationalism. I asked you, has he ever come out with a white nationalist statement? You said, no, but...
No, I said I wasn't a fan of white nationalism, that a lot of the shit that he said is bigoted against other races, and that statement reverberates with white nationalist people. Like...
Right. So you're thinking that Trump said this because he then, has an issue with Mexicans?
I don't know. I just have to go by what he says. Maybe or maybe not, but I know that his message reverberates with a lot of people that do. And that his statements are very, very fucking horrible. The Mexican judge statements are the same thing. If Trump would have gone on, I don't remember who he was on with when he was talking to the one dude about the federal judge. If Trump would have said, I don't think that this judge is capable of giving me a fair ruling because his parents are involved with organizations that are very pro-Mexico, and the fact that I am, planning to deal with the border security and whatnot might make him biased against me. That statement is perfectly acceptable, and you cannot attack that. That's a totally valid argument. Or, I mean, you could argue against it, but that's totally valid. But that's not what he said. What he said was, I don't know if anybody with Mexican parents can give me a fair ruling. Do you not see how these statements are entirely separate statements and carry entirely different meanings? Or do those statements just sound like two of the same to you?
Well, what I'm trying to source through here is we talk about this because we're going through his different policies, we're going through his different approaches, and the things that he said is, do you disagree with what he's putting up, or are you disagreeing with the way he's saying it because of the way it's interpreted?
I mean, like, do we live in a pretend world where you can just say anything and then people are expected to extract exactly what you meant out of it? Like, I don't understand. Like, that's not how the world works. That's not how any position, any job in any company ever. And
night of day, it's okay. We can figure it out another night. But if you want to have a historical nerdy conversation, then who cares? And then clearly crystal clear says Destiny likes politician speech. Many are tired of it. He was going with stories in the news. They are increasing across the country. Does he and you not understand this used to be a rarity? He wasn't speaking to Destiny or the open borders population. So because he says it pretty, think about that, lol. That is petty and small-minded. Exactly what accusing Trump and his supporters of Trump. There you go, lol. So clearly crystal clear. I appreciate you, coming in here and inspiring a passionate conversation. However, I'm just going to tell you right now, I hate Trump. I'm not a fan of Trump. And it's not just a question of what he says. I don't give, it's also the lack of policy behind it, right? So, for instance, we should have peace with North Korea. Shaking hand with Kim Jong-un is not policy, right? I would make Ukraine not be a war anymore. That's not a policy, right? The border crisis was pretty much as bad as it had been prior to Trump when Trump took office. And because he was such a rhetorical blowhard in reference to this issue, he turned so many people off of finding an issue that he wasn't even able to get the border wall done, which was like a cornerstone of his electoral campaign. When it came to, like NATO and European support, like I'm happy that he shook the cages a little bit in order to get NATO people to contribute. But that's not what got Europeans in order to contribute. It was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And I don't think that saying like, oh, Vladimir Putin loves Trump, so he would have never done it under Trump. I don't think that's like a real policy analysis. I think that's just saying that like I like my guy. That's what I when you say that 10-7, and I'm not saying you specifically, I'm saying when Trumpers say October 7th would have never happened if Trump was in office, or the invasion of Ukraine would have never happened if Trump was in office. I just hear I like my guy. So that's what I hear. Night of Day says, how did get to the European origins of contemporary Americans mattering to why we no longer want to pay for people to live in America while they wait for asylum claims? Are we paying for people to live here? Google.com. Are we paying asylees to live in USA pending review? Sorry, this is just interesting to me. It was okie dokie with sanctuary cities and states as long as the legal stayed in the southern border states. When faced with putting their money where their mouth is, was when things changed. New York City at first put illegals in 4 to 5 star hotels, gave them food, clothing, healthcare, and education. Illegals began to flock to New York City because of the right to shelter law, which does not exist in many other states. Mayor Adams soon found out it was draining the budget and cut citizens' benefits like police, fire, and education to have money for illegals. Citizens began to notice in places like NYC and Chicago. Mayor Adams has made something like 11 trips to D.C. to see Joe Biden, who has been unavailable to see him about federal funding. No matter where the money comes from, it's taxpayers footing the bill. I've always been against freebies for illegals. Deport all illegals. So if someone is granted asylum in the United States, what do they get in addition to being able to stay in the United States? My answer is very U.S.-centric. So first, I want to make sure there's understanding of the difference between refugees and asylum seekers. There are two different and distinct groups. Refugees apply for refugee status outside of the U.S. and are approved prior to moving. U.S. asylum seekers have to make it to the U.S. and then claim asylum on U.S. soil. For most immigrants, you are not eligible for federal government assistance until you have been in the country for 5 years. Refugees have a slightly different experience as described below because they already did their application outside of the country. If you are a refugee in the U.S., you are eligible for up to 8 months of refugee cash assistance. This is a small cash stipend granted per person. Generally, it's $200 a month per person. This is means tested, as in if you have any income, it counts dollar for dollar against your grant. If you are a family of 2, you get $430 a month in RFA and you make $300 in income. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, bud. So basically, if you're an asylum seeker, you ain't getting shit. You ain't getting shit. Now that Remain in Mexico is no longer being utilized, we are? Where? Who? Tell me. Give me, link me. DM me. Yeah, hard disagree with you, Bud 123. I don't like symbols. I like actual diplomacy. I like people signing agreements with plans. I don't think shaking hands and taking pictures does anything. Christian Valera says it was the only major good piece of legislation that came out of the Trump admin. The North Koreans didn't release hostages because of Trump saluting the North Korean military. Lol, they did it because the Trump admin released some sanctions. Yeah. Clearly, Crystal Clear says, then common sense comes into play, doesn't it? How are they living? And SNAP and health insurance. Where's the SNAP and health insurance? If they literally just said that they're not entitled to it for 5 years. So you know how they're living? They're working in agriculture for fucking slave wages. Do illegal immigrants get SNAP? SNAP eligibility for non-citizens. Gross. Okay. Eligibility status. Eligible non-citizen groups. Refugees, the people who we were talking about earlier. Individuals granted asylum. Victims of severe trafficking. Deportation withheld. Amerasians. Cuban and Haitian entrants. Iraqi and Afghan special immigrants. Certain American Indians. Hmong and Highland Laotian compacts of free association citizens from Micronesia. Yeah, so that literally precludes Central American economic migrants. So again, you're just kind of like saying shit, you know? Night of day, this is crazy. They did it at the state level. That's crazy. New York City has spent billions. That's because the state, we just read this 30 seconds ago, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, when we were reading, we read that New York City has right to shelter laws. That is a state level thing. That is not the feds, and that's not Florida. We put our Mexicans out on the street. Nope. And ask if have children, do they qualify? All right. So you're just making shit up. You're just making shit up. All right. I'm going to ignore you for a minute. I'm going to run for another 5 minutes and then we're going to wrap it up and you guys can watch Dylan Burns. Clearly crystal clear. No, I'm not. I have worked with illegal alien families and their children, gang members, multi-generational. Okay. So the people who were born here who are citizens, that's who you worked with? The anchor babies? Okay. That kind of changes what we're talking about, right?
In any company, in any public office, in any family position, in a position with a relationship, you can't get away with saying something and phrasing it like an idiot.
You absolutely can.
No, you can't.
He is president.
Yeah, because enough people voted for him. But
well, I mean, didn't Jeb Bush say you can't insult your way into the White House? Trump did.
I'm not talking about anything that Jeb Bush said. I'm just saying.
Night of Day is saying this is a crazy act of denial. How is it a crazy act of denial if I said that the state did it, but according to the feds, you're not eligible. You're not eligible for SNAP. Seriously, we'll just run out the next 5 minutes. We really will. So Night of Day in clearly crystal clear. I am ecstatic for you to tell me. No, cacophonies I've been running for 3 hours. I'm pretty much going to wrap up anyways. Okay, California and New York. The two communist fucking states. Okay. Communist state level benefits. Got it. Places I don't give a fuck about because it's Democrats fucking over Democrats. I don't live in a Democrat state. I don't know where you live. Where do you live? Do you live in California? Hawaii. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're fucked. Yeah, all right. That clears it up. Okay. Chat. We figured it out. Okay. Thank you to the 50 people who are hanging out with us. Guys, we figured it out. All right. Night of Day lives in New York City. So he is getting raped by state taxes. And that is going to the programs that he's talking about because New York does have the right to shelter laws. So Night of Day's taxes are going to illegal immigrants who are staying in hotels in New York City. So he does have an excuse to be mad. And then clearly crystal clear lives in Hawaii, which also is last I checked, I thought Hawaii was pretty democratic. Is Hawaii Republican or Democrat? I'm pretty sure they're Democrat. Let me just look it up. Yeah, they're like swinging 55 to 70% Democrat. And then let's check out Hawaii social benefits. Yeah. Okay. It seems like they're more on the generous side for social benefits. Okay. All right. Sorry. You know what? I'll go ahead and I'll apologize to Night of Day and clearly crystal clear. Clearly crystal clear lives in the communist island of Hawaii, and Night of Day lives in the communist city of New York. So my apologies. I was talking about the federal government and the state of Florida. You folks are behind enemy lines. So my apologies. Wow, man says, laugh my ass off. Night of Day, your time is better spent whining at your local representatives than at Connor. No, it's fine. If you need to cathartically complain about how communist your states are, that's okay. I will listen to you. I want my complaints to be backed up. That's all. But anyways, I know Cacophonies, you wanted me to get more into the content because you wanted to see Destiny argue for bombing the cartels. However, I got a family, man. So I show up, I stream for a little bit, we get a few donos, and then we dip out. So not naming the loss, thank you for your dono. Old School, thank you for your dono. Drew the Dogman, thank you for your dono. Aircraft Sparky, thank you for your multiple donations. Clockwork, thank you for your donation as well. It is greatly appreciated. I'm going to show myself before we leave. 07's in chat. I'm going to salute you. I'm sorry for the abrupt ending. I did enjoy getting to enjoy Mr. Metokur's content. I did enjoy getting to do my limited commentary. I did enjoy hopefully red pilling you on why we need to invade Central America. I hope you join me in the creation of the greater United States of America and Super Earth and eventually the Imperium of Man. It is man's destiny to rule the galaxy. Even though that is a terrifying prospect, it is our manifest destiny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your viewership. Appreciate your donations. Have a beautiful night. Bye for now.